Okay, so we're going to continue our Unit 5. Now remember, we did 5.1, identifying x and y intercepts from graphs, graphing the equations in standard form, and converting standard to slope-intercept. So we have already done that. And then we did the 5.2 using point and a slope to graph a line, and using the point-slope formula to convert to slope-intercept form. So these we've already done. So today we're going to be doing algebraically, so without a graph, we're going to convert the slope-intercept form equation to standard form. So this is what we're working on today. So let's go ahead and turn to page 9 in our notes. Okay, page 9 in our notes. Now, I want you to remember that slope-intercept is y equals mx plus b, okay, because the m is the slope, not the x. Some of you are still putting the x when you write slope, it's just the m, and then b is your y-intercept. Now we need to convert these, okay, to standard form. Standard form, remember, is your ax plus by is equal to c format. Okay, now there's a few steps. All right, let's write them down over here, kind of like a recipe. Steps. Number 1, we're going to move the ax term. Okay, so we're going to take this ax and we're going to put it over here. And then, okay, 2, we will multiply by a denominator. Okay, so I'll show you what I mean by that. And then 3, okay. All right, so if a is negative, like a negative number, we have to divide by -1. Okay. All right, so here we go, standard form. First, we're going to make sure that the terms with x and y are on the same side of the equal sign, so that's here. A, B, and C are not allowed to be fractions. So, if we have to multiply by a denominator. So we cannot have a fraction. Right? In fact, this is really important. A, B, and C are not allowed to be fractions. That's why you would multiply by your denominator. Okay. All right. Make sure that the terms with x and y are on the same side. That's why we're moving your ax. Okay. And actually, I meant this. The x term goes over here. Let me change this really quickly. All right. So we're going to move this x term, this mx, we're going to move it over here. When we do that, it becomes the ax piece. All right, now if this is negative, then we have, okay, if that's negative, then we have to divide by a -1. All right, it's actually rather easy, okay? So the first thing I'm going to do is this term right here. I have to move it over there. So I'm going to subtract on both sides. Okay, so I'm going to bring down what I know. All right, -3x, and then plus y, then my equal sign, and then I have a 5 on this side still, because these are now gone. And I just bring everything down. Okay, now this is a -3, and I cannot have a negative right here. So all of these have to be divided by a -1. So a negative divided by negative makes it a positive. +1 divided by -1, that makes -1. And positive divided by negative makes that a negative. So that's my answer. Okay, A, B, and C, none of these are fractions, and A is not negative. Okay. All right, let's gonna do this one over here. Again, I'm gonna move this over that way. Okay, so I'm gonna be adding 4/3 x. I'm gonna add 4/3 x over here. Okay, that's gone. So let's write down what we see. I have 4/3x, and then I have a positive y, and that equals my positive 8. Okay, so this is a positive, which is great, but I can't let it be a fraction. So I have to multiply all three numbers by that 3 so that I can get that 3 to go away. Okay, so 3/3 is going to reduce to 1 whole. I'm left with 4x. 3 times y is just 3y. Bring down your equal sign. And 8 times 3 is 24. Do not forget to multiply on both sides of the equation. In fact, multiply all three numbers, all three coefficients. Okay, so now x and y are on the same side. A, B, and C are all non-fractions, and A is positive. So, good deal. Let's move on to this one. Okay, I'm going to move this over there. So, I'm going to subtract it. 2/3 x, 2/3 x. So let's write down what we see. Negative 2/3 x plus y is equal to negative 7. Okay, so now I need to multiply by a 3. Okay, I need to multiply by that 3 right there. I'm going to have to multiply here and there. So I'm going to put a 3 and a 3 and a 3. Make sure you put your dots so you don't think it's a 73. These are going to reduce. I'm left with negative 2x plus 3y equals negative 21. Okay, now here's a problem. Okay, a has got to be a positive number. So see that right there? That is a negative 2. So I have to divide by negative 1 under all three. Right, so you can see I've done that in all three places. I did the same thing up here. This 3 was a negative. So I'm divided by negative 1 under all three places here. All right, when I do that, I'm left with 2x, negative 3y, and positive 21. Okay, nice. Let's move on to the next one. Okay, and I'm just going to say that this unit is a lot of work. And I know some of you really, you get discouraged by the amount of work that has to be written on your paper. But I really need you to do the work anyway. You owe it to yourself. Okay, don't do it for me, do it for you. And you have to practice all of these steps in order to get really good at them. So please just practice, practice, practice. All right, I'm going to move this. I have to add it. Okay. So this is going to go over here, so I have to add. So I get 6 over 5x plus y is equal to negative 3. Now, I can't leave the 5, so I'm going to have to multiply in all three spots by a 5. Okay, got all that written down. 5 over 5, that reduces. This is 6x. This is 5y. And this would be negative 15. Okay, all three numbers, whole numbers, not fractions. X and y are on the same side, and A is a positive. All right, next up, number 3. I guess I was going in this way when they're numbered this way, but it's fine. It doesn't really matter. Okay, that's going to move over there, so I must subtract it. Just like that. So I get negative 5 over 2x plus y is equal to negative 2. Okay, and then couple things. I see a 2 under there. Okay, or I'm sorry, I guess I should have used pink. Keep it consistent, right? So I got to multiply all of these numbers by the 2. Right, so that reduces. I get negative 5x, I get positive 2y, and I get negative 4. Now, this one, now I can do this color. That's negative, so I have to divide by a negative 1 under all 3 of these numbers, okay? And then I get positive 5x, negative 2y, and positive 4. Okay, let's move on to this one. I'm going to move that over there. I'm going to subtract. So I get negative 11 over 4x plus y equals negative 8. All right, I got to get rid of the 4. So I'm going to multiply, multiply, multiply. 4 is here, 4 is here, 4 is there. So this is going to become negative 11x, positive 4y, and negative 32. Okay, now I can't have a negative 11. So I have to divide, divide, divide. All of these have to be divided by negative 1. So that gives me an 11x positive, a negative 4y, and a positive 32. Okay, let's see what's on the next page. Okay, everybody get all that? All right, let's move to the next page. Okay. That is slope-intercept form to standard form, and the next one is this right here. So that brings me to our homework. Okay, so you should have a 5.3 worksheet. Okay, so go ahead and make sure you take care of that, okay, perfectly, and then we'll move on to the next one tomorrow. All right.